everyone. It's you. So I'm hopping on here. I was scheduled to talk today about why we should take one day at a time as part of our list of survival tips for caregivers. And as I shared before, I think 2 weeks ago when I did the first video, these tips are not just for caregivers. I know it's part of our list for the caregivers group, but pretty much anyone can use this. And so I'm just going to share, it's going to be brief, but I want to get straight to the point about why it's important to take one day at a time and how you can do it. So often, I guess before trying to get too technical in like my counseling background, but often when people are not present, let me back up. So taking, what does it look like when we take one day at a time? It's mostly about being present, being fully present, daily, really embracing the moment. What happens usually is when we're not present, you sometimes we're stuck in the past or we are way ahead of ourselves, stuck in the future. And what happens is when we're stuck in the past, often people who dwell so much in the past end up with a lot of depression. And I've seen it in myself. I've seen it with people I work with, and I've heard the stories of over people, and even over helping professionals. It's often when we get stuck in our past, it tends to bring depression, because often people who deal in the past, what happened, rarely people look in the past and think of wonderful things. When we look at our past, usually because we're full of regrets, we're looking at what could have been, should have been, and what we could have done, should have done, right? It's a lot of regrets and a lot of things that we kind of wish would have happened. And that kind of bring a lot of remorse sometimes. Sometimes it's a lot of, guilt, some shame, blame. It's like often when we're dwelling on the past, rarely is it that we're thinking about positive thoughts. Rarely. And even when we think about positive thoughts, it's often, we're often thinking about it in a way that we wish we could bring it back. Which is a good thing in itself. It's nothing wrong with thinking, I wish I could be as happy as I was before. There's nothing wrong with that. What is wrong is when you just get stuck there and not actually take the step to bring back the happiness or work towards it. So what the point I was trying to make is when we get stuck in our past, we often get depressed. And also when people are so focused on the future, they become anxious. Because when you're spending so much time planning about the future, you forget, you start thinking about what what you have to do. I mean, I've been there. What I need to do, what's going to happen, how things need to be laid out, planned out. Who's going to get involved. It's like you get so wrapped up in all the planning stages and all the thoughts of, this picture of the future, that sometimes you become very anxious about it. And it just creates all this anxiety. So again, when we're so stuck in the past, we can become depressed. When when we live too much in the future, we can become too anxious. And the only time you have is right now. Whether you're a caregiver, whether your mom, whether you're, no matter who you are, for all of us, the time that you or we have control over is right now. I mean, yesterday is gone. Maybe we could have done, should have done something, but we can't go back and fix it. What we can do is change what we're doing now in order to impact our future. Yes, we can think about the future in that way, but we can't necessarily change the future if we're not doing anything right now in the present. The present's all we have control over. So that's why it's important, it's important for us to take one day at a time so that we don't get overwhelmed with depression, get overwhelmed with anxiety, get overwhelmed just with life in general. Because often even the description of itself, the definition of being overwhelmed, that's literally. That's what it means. Like we get bombarded with all these things that we think we have to do, or just overwhelming, and just like, swamp our energy, and like it's just overcome us, and like all these things I have to do. And especially like I said, like right now I know I'm addressing caregivers, but think about all of us. In life is challenging, life is stressful, life is hard, period. So life is already complicated as it is. Like, let's not make it harder than it needs to be. Let's not, if there's anything we can do to alleviate some of the things that could make it complicated, like, by all means, please, let's do ourselves a favor, and let's do that. Let's kind of apply some of just little things like the ones I'm sharing right now. Is trying to be in the moment. Then how do you do that? How do you just trying to be in the moment, taking that one day and that one day at a time, trying to focus on what you need to do now. Yes, you have to plan tomorrow. You have to I know there's another video I'm going to be doing later on. I think it's next week, about having a contingency plan or something like that. So that's another part. That it's also part of life. You need to plan ahead. There's nothing wrong with that, but you cannot get stuck there. You can't just live your life in the future. Then today will pass you by, and then you miss out on all the blessings of today. So what is going on in your life today? What do you need to do today? Especially when you're so overwhelmed with everything already as it is. Maybe just think about, what can I do today? Maybe just getting out of bed, making sure that the person you're taking care of is fed, making sure that you're taken care of, making sure that people have the meds. I don't know what it is for you and your family or the people that you care for. But literally it's, focusing on today. The bare necessity of life, honestly. And if you start focusing on that, and you realize that you focus your energy on that, then you won't get so bogged down about all the other stuff. I mean, the still needs to be taken care of, but they won't drain your energy as much. And sometimes, like, some practical way to do it, like when you have all these other thoughts that come in your mind, it's like, oh, I still have to do X, Y, and Z tomorrow. Just write it down. The thoughts come about something you have to do tomorrow, you have to do next week, like all those future thoughts, all those future tasks. Write it down. And just leave it there. Leave it on paper until the day comes that you need to address it. So then you can actually enjoy today. And sometimes I see, even especially as a parent, like, we get so distracted with everything we're trying to do to make this life better for, a loved one, for children, and then we even forget to enjoy the people for which we're making this life even good for. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes I get, especially now, like, my words don't always make sense. But I hope I'm making sense here. We get so bogged down about trying to make a living and making life better for people we care for, people we love. But then in doing so, we end up kind of sacrificing the time that we could have spent with them to connect with them, and even noticing what they're doing in their lives. It's like, the things we do we're doing things for the same people. We become disconnected. There you go. That's what I was trying to say. We become disconnected from the same people that we're trying to make a living for. So yes, we have to plan for the future. Yes, we have to pay the bills. Yes, we have to make sure we have a place to live. Yes, we have to take care of everyone. As caregivers, that's the load that we have. As moms, as business owners. I know, like, no matter what title you have in life, we all have things we need to take care of. But you cannot be stuck in your future. You cannot be stuck just worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. Have you taken the time even to just pause for 1 minute and notice around you what is going on today, right now, this very moment? I remember hearing a story. I think I can't remember, it was at a conference, but someone was saying about how the whole thing about being present, being in living in the moment and stuff, and how they went to work. This person went to work every single day, and never noticed that right next door to them that their neighbor had like what color car, like it was something that obvious that you couldn't really miss. But because every time they came out their door, they were so focused on where they were going next. It was like they're always like this future oriented, like they're so focused on their own mind, focused about the next thing they had to do, but they couldn't really enjoy even that very moment. And missing that moment kind of made them miss everything else around them. So maybe you just need to take that moment for today. I don't know, maybe for yourself, take that 2 minutes and just breathe. Breathe and allow yourself to enjoy that, but enjoy the present. And tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to take one day at a time. And I know you must say, well, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know, what I'm dealing with. You don't know all the problems that I have. Believe me, I don't know. And you're right. I have no clue what you're going through. But I know that life is not easy. And even personally, right now, I have all these health issues. We're still trying to figure out, what happened and all this over stuff. And I still have a lot of questions that are not answered. And I don't know what tomorrow will bring, to be honest. And I have to worry. Yes, I have to worry about my kids. Like, what's going to happen since we don't have a real cause of what happened to me? It could happen again. Then what happens to my kids if it does happen? So I can get stuck there worrying about my future, right? If this is going to happen again, I might have a stroke, I might have a heart attack, who knows? I can get stuck worrying about all that. Or I can take one day at a time and today enjoy the fact that I still have my kids, the fact that I'm still alive and I can still talk and I can do the things that I can do. And then while I'm still here, I can still keep making those doctor's appointments and going to all those therapies and getting all the tests that I still need to do. So yes, I don't know your reality, but I'm sharing a little bit of mine, so you get a sense of of that we all have things we're dealing with. So I might not know your reality, but I know that life is hard and that we all have something, some burden that we're carrying right now. We all have things in the future that we are all worried about, but we cannot live in the future. You cannot only live in the present. So come back in the present and try to enjoy the life you have today. Take one day at a time. Plan one day. Things of the future, write it down. Put it down on the calendar. Write it down. Save it on your phone for the day that it needs to be taken care of. It's going to reduce your stress in so much. And that's the thing about all those tips I've been sharing here in the videos. The goal is like at the end, it reduces your stress. Because you're going to get so stressed out when you're trying to worry about everything and all the time. So trying to focus about just today. What needs to be taken care of today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Yes, you have to plan for it, and that's the next video we'll talk about. I think I'm doing that next week. All right, guys. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved one. And remember, you only have one life to live, and everybody needs you. So take one day at a time and enjoy the life you've been given. Okay, bye.